Is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, discussion number 82. Today, my special guest is Matt Prater from the amazing epic band Love Lost But Not Forgotten. So heavy, so crushing. Go back and listen to him if you haven't heard him in a while. I love that band. I was lucky enough to see him live in 2002. Got to film him. Amazing times. He was also in a band called the Paxadills, At War Within, End Over End. He's in a band called Living Hell right now. I'm going to grab you right now.
Matt, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. So I got my daughter's iPad going on in the background, so I'm gonna try to do the best I can with this.
That's perfect. Perfect. I want to thank you again for taking time out on a Sunday to, especially early morning. People can watch this and have a coffee or an orange juice or a mimosa, whatever you want.
It's all good, man. I mean, that's daily life. You know, you don't. I probably went to bed at like 1 a.m. last night after the show we played, and yeah, here we are, 6 a.m. getting up again. So.
How was the show last night?
It was pretty cool. We played. The headliner was Psycho Stick, which was kind of like a weird thing for us, but we thought it was going to be fun. It was. There was a band that I never heard before that were really awesome. They were called Blind Equation. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
I don't know. They're somewhere in Illinois, but they call themselves Cyber Grind.
Oh, really?
It was awesome. It was one guy with this big guitar and like a really crazy fast drummer that was awesome, and just like a chaotic singer and all this like pre-programmed stuff they had going on. It was really awesome. Check them out.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I wanted to say one thing too is rest in peace, Gabe Serbian. I just found that news out this morning that Gabe Serbian from the Locust had passed away last night.
Oh, no kidding.
So I just wanted to say rest in peace to Gabe Serbian. Such a great drummer. And
yeah, man, he was kind of he's setting the bar for all the screamo bands back in the day for sure, man. That sucks. Yeah, rest in peace to him.
Yeah. So usually when I first start out, my first question is kind of like a two-parter. Before you started listening to punk and hardcore and getting into that scene, what were you listening to as a kid, and then what kind of transitioned you over to punk and hardcore?
All right. So before I discovered any of that stuff, it was like definitely Motley Crue and AC/DC. I had a stepdad at the time that was like a wedding DJ, and he had all these records of just cool blues and rock stuff, and me and my brother Nathan would take his stuff and listen to it all the time. Kind of did that, and then I can't remember when it was, like 93 or something. We had to move to Delaware from St. Peters, Missouri, and which St. Peters really had nothing going on with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When we moved to Delaware, it was kind of an eye opener. We were young, and just our first exposure to any of that stuff came from there. It was, Newark, Delaware is like a little college town, and I guess just an infusion of all the college kids creating music and stuff. I went to a show, didn't even know what a music show really was. You know, I was so young. We went, and it was my first experience was Boy Sets Fire, and it was mind blowing. I was like, wow, what is this stuff? You know, and like, yeah, from then on, like, I don't know, it just kind of opened a whole new world. I met a bunch of people that were also like-minded and into that stuff, and just, I don't know, kind of went on. So that was kind of my first real exposure to any kind of heavier, or, you know, I don't know how you describe that kind of music back then, especially, but when you first see it, it's pretty mind-blowing. So I don't know how to answer that.
Now, when you saw Boy Sets Fire, what year was that? Can you recall what year that was?
Probably 94. Somewhere around that time. It kind of spawned from them, but then also in Newark there was bands like, hopefully you get to talk with Rob Avery soon, but he was doing a band called Clevenger around that time that were just incredibly awesome. There was another band called Network 34 that was, I don't know. You have to look these bands up because they've all been a part of like what made me get into this stuff, and have always been a foundation in what I've done musically. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it
I
seemed like
apologize. I'm still kind of half out of it, so I'm
I
gonna
know,
wing this
like
one with you.
not much sleep. I can totally
Yeah.
understand that. Uh,
The big
yeah.
burly bags under my eyes don't tell you anything.
Well, that comment said you like to party too. So back in the day.
I don't know what he means by that, because I was pretty refined back then.
Yeah.
After Love Lost, I was probably more of a partier, but
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Delaware, it seemed like that scene down there at that time, like mid '90s to late '90s, was really booming with music and shows, and the scene was like a really big thing down there. From all the flyers that I've seen, I never got down there to see a show, but the flyers and just talks of Delaware shows that had been like pretty epic around here. Can you just talk about the scene in general?
oh man, the '90s scene in Delaware was crazy. There was a place called Girls Inc. that was doing shows all the time back then, and I mean, once again, as a young teenager, I was seeing bands like Fugazi play there, and Bouncing Souls played there a bunch of times, and I mean, just all these crazy big bands. Like at the time, you don't think much about, but then later years come, and I eventually my brother and I moved back to St. Peters, Missouri, where still nothing was going on, even in the late '90s, and you start recollecting, you're like, wow, man, like such a tiny little place in the Northeast. And I'm just assuming it's because, everything's within a really close driving distance. I mean, New York City's like a couple hours away. Philly's like right there. I mean, like
Yeah.
everything's so close. All these bands were popping up everywhere out of there. So I don't know. I assume.
Yeah, yeah. No.
But yeah, I mean, the scene was incredible. So I was very privileged to get to be a part of that, I think, somehow.
Now, St. Peter's had nothing going on. What was the closest venue or city that you could go to when you moved back there to go see shows?
I mean, during that time, I mean, there was stuff going on in St. Louis, but I mean, St. Louis was more of like a punk rock kind of scene,
Yeah.
There's a lot of punk rock stuff going on here, but as far as like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I remember a band called like Bloodstone and Carfax Abbey, which was more like almost like I don't know, like the early straight edge hardcore kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to place that, but that's really all that was kind of going on here. So I don't know. I guess I need to backtrack. So when my brother and I moved back here from Delaware, I wasn't a musician. My brother was, though. When we lived in Delaware, he was playing in a band called the Pins, which was like a faster punk rock, pop punk band or whatever.
Yeah.
We moved back here. He just decided to do a punk rock band and told me I was going to play drums, and I was like, I don't know how to play drums, and it was just kind of a forced situation. I somehow picked it up really quick, and we just turned it into this really awesome thing, which was the Paxills band. And somehow that band only lasted like a year, but we played so many huge shows. We played with Avail, like in a little basement place called Cicero's, and just, I mean, all these Suicide Machines, all these really awesome bands, and then linked up with Screw 32, and they were somehow gonna get us. I don't. They talked to Fat Mike or something, and we were supposed to do like a meet and greet with him in his hometown, and then we broke up because my brother and I just always, I don't know. So yeah, then you fast forward. I don't know how far you want to go with this. I'm kind of jumping off topic on you. So.
No, go right ahead. This is perfect.
All right. So after that, then that broke up, and I wanted to dive more into the heavier stuff. So I met up with Jason Emmerich and Chris Grady from school, and we started doing this End Over End band, which was kind of like a precursor to Love Lost, and we it was our first attempt at any of this stuff, and I was kind of sharing my thoughts, and everybody kind of put their heads together with that. It turned out pretty cool. We played a couple shows, and then that's when Scott Fogelbach from Love Lost. Well, shit, man, I don't know. Like I said, my memory sucks trying to remember this stuff and how it played out.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, from End Over End, people quit, moved around, whatever. We found Scott and we found Mike Schmitz, and that kind of became the birth of Love Lost. It just kind of went right into one another, and Scott really is what made that stuff so much heavier. Scott was always into like death metal and stuff, and that was kind of new to us.
Yeah.
and so kind of intertwining that gave it a harder edge. And yeah, so that was kind of the birth of that stuff. It probably like 98, I think, is when 97, 98,
97. Yeah.
somewhere
What
around there.
what kind of drew you to the heavier stuff? Like, what were you listening to that you were like, oh, I want to start playing heavier stuff in the kind of same vein as Love Lost was?
Just probably, I don't know, just having the vibes and feeling off of what Scott was playing kind of forced me to do, faster and heavier stuff. At the same time, though, I was still going back to Delaware a lot and visiting friends, and that's kind of around the vein I was introduced to, like His Heroes Gone and Charles Bronson and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the I wouldn't consider it power violence, I guess, but more in that vein.
Yeah.
So hearing some stuff, well, yeah, I don't know, man. It's all kind of a blur, but around that time is when everything kind of took off, and everything, as far as what I was listening to was all this. I mean, I remember hearing Versal Man as one of like the first like screamo bands or whatever you'd consider back then, and was just blown away by those dudes. And like, I mean, all that stuff I think collectively has some kind of input on what we did as a band, because we were all like just overwhelmed with the same type of music, between power violence stuff and grindcore and early screamo stuff, or scrams, or whatever the hell you call that stuff now. Like, I still hate that word to a core.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that word either. Well, the Midwest at that late '90s time would seem booming too, with Song of Z and Examination of the and Book of Dead Names and Dispensing of False Halos, Eclipse of Eden, Loving Memory, Spirit of Versailles. You must have, when you first started Love Lost, like played with all those bands in the Midwest, since it was like kind of close to each other.
Yeah, if I can remember that correctly, I know I can't remember if Eclipse played here first, or if we were kind of endeavoring on our first little outing and met them. But yeah, that was another mind-blowing thing, like realizing there's other bands that are similar this close. Like, before, at least in my perspective, I just had this mindset of like everything's up northeast, like that style, like, whatever. But then, you got Iowa guys and stuff doing this crazy awesome stuff. And yeah, man, all that stuff was awesome. I remember our first venture up that way, like, I can't remember if it was Rusty or if it was the guys from Spirit that started this thing called the Hog Pile. And I just remember hearing, like, one of those guys was telling us about this, like, oh, be prepared, we do this thing called the Hog Pile. I was like, what is that? And supposedly it's just, a band's playing, and then everybody there just piles on top of the band. And we were almost kind of terrified, like driving up there, like, wow. And it happened, it was awesome. Like everybody in other bands in the crowd would just at random points just pile on top of you while you're playing. It's kind of a weird, fun feeling.
Now the first demo came out in, what was it? 99 was the first demo that came out, and then
I don't know.
and then
probably 98, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because it seemed like between 98 and 99, it was like you guys put out a demo, then you put out the Unfound EP, kind of like a demo, and then the Joshua Fit for Battle split was right after that, wasn't it? Within the like a year and a half, all that stuff came out, correct?
I believe so, yeah. We did the Joshua split. Kevin was always a longtime friend of mine, the drummer from Joshua. He's from New York, so him and I lived down the street from each other. And we always just kept a good relationship. And through the bands he was in, and then me doing Love Lost, we kind of made that connection. I was like, hey, man, we should do a split together. That'd be super fun. So we just made that connection, and it made it happen. So that's why that came out. But, yeah, I mean, it was all around the same time frame. I don't know. We just kept getting little opportunities to record music with buddies and stuff like that, and just trying to get music out there.
Yeah.
At that time, that was key. You had to have some kind of physical stuff to push around and hand out. So.
Yeah, true. The Unfound EP still holds up to this day. And like it's still like I always bang that all the time, like in my car and stuff like that. Yeah, it still holds up. I mean, personally, my favorite is the self-titled. That only because I think that was the first thing that I heard from Love Lost, and being from up, the Boston area, New Hampshire area, that was the first thing I heard, and I was like, wow, I like was just blown away at how heavy it was and just such a crushing album. So that's my favorite, the self-titled. But everything that you guys had put out has just been amazing to me. So.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know. I can hardly stand listening to that first album ever.
Really?
Like, you know, occasionally I
Really?
just want to be like, oh, I'll check it out, my old stuff or whatever. You know, it's hard to listen to.
Yeah. What?
Well, just, you know, I've progressed as a drummer through time too, and it's just when I go back and hear stuff, I'm like, oh, that's awful. Like, or just yeah, I don't know. In general, like if I ever listen to anything that we used to do, it's probably the newer stuff, but it's still hard to listen to. Like I'm just not into that as much anymore, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So in your opinion, Upon the Right album is probably your favorite thing that you guys put out?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of showed a progression in musicianship and stuff from the first thing to the second thing. I think we got better and worked together better as a band and whatever, and knew how to write better and stuff. So, yeah. Plus, I mean, it's a better recording quality. I mean, we actually did that at like Azimuth Recording Studios in Indianapolis, so that was more of a professional thing, in my opinion, for what it was. So.
Yeah. And when you guys first started out, was it a 7-piece, like almost like a Page 99 type of band with like there were three guitarists and 2 vocalists and bass and drums?
So there was kind of a transition from that end over end deal to Love Lost. So we had so it was me, Nathan, or I'm sorry, Nathan wasn't there yet. Me, Grady, Jason, Scott, and AJ was a guitar player from end over end. So we had 3 guitar players when Love Lost first started and realized quickly that was too much. So AJ left, and then it was just Mike as a singer. And at some point, my brother wanted to try singing with us. So then we had Mike and Nathan both singing, and it was always chaotic. So like it was cool because those two, like as singers, played off of each other really well, and it was fun. But I mean, it was short-lived. You know, it was just too much. And I mean, looking back on it now, it's having 2 singers would be a pain in the ass. So, you know, much respect to the Page 99 dudes for being able to pull that off for so long. But
Yeah. It seemed like in the late 90s that was a thing though. Every band had 2 singers back then.
Yeah, and then, you know, like like who the hell has like 5-word names in their bands and stuff? That was like such a big thing back then. Like it's like a paragraph for your band name.
What was the first tour that you guys went on, and did you go with like a sister band on like one of your first major tours that you went on?
I mean, I don't think any of them were really major tours, but I mean, our first deal was Eclipse of Eden, and we just did the whole Northeast thing, and that turned out pretty awesome because that was the first time any of us had ever ventured out of state to play music, so I thought that was pretty cool. And once again, this is where memory gets foggy, but I'm pretty sure we did 2 times with Eclipse of Eden and I think Spirit of Versailles. Then we did the Page 99 stuff, which was really a thing that set us a little higher, I think, kind of helped us take off. Then we did Code 7. The Code 7 tour, I can't remember how that worked out either. Like, we met up with them from a tour into another thing. Like, there's always stuff like that happening, too. Like, we'd venture out on our own and meet up with another band. Like, we met up with Poison the Well on one area and played a few shows with them as part of their tour or something like that. But I know, like, I think the biggest thing we did was like the Code 7 Hopes Fall deal. That was awesome. Like, we got to play really cool venues like CBGBs, like the old CBGBs and stuff like, I mean, stuff that we were just, you know, young and just dreaming about, you know, so that stuff was really awesome to us. But yeah, that was probably the biggest deal we did. That was awesome.
Yeah, that Code 7 Hopes Fall tour, was that the last tour that Love Lost did?
Yes, as far as I can remember, it is. Yeah.
Because that when I saw you guys and recorded that show in Nashville was 2002, and then what was that the year that you left Love Lost? Like, was that right after the tour, or was it a little bit, you know, a while after that?
Man, I can't really remember. I know, I'm pretty sure it was like towards the end of that is when we felt like we were starting. Grady had some amazing connections throughout the road. He's just a really sociable dude and knew how to network. And at that time, I think we were starting to get some better offers as far as, actually becoming like whatever you'd consider that as a career, like, this touring more full time and stuff like that. And that's not anything I wanted to do. I was just kind of having a moment to where I felt like I needed to have a steady career and whatever, So, I don't know. My brother had some issues going on, so it kind of just broke it apart at that point. So we didn't talk for a while, and then we'd mess around and start playing again, and then it wouldn't work out. So I can't even remember when we started actually like trying to do stuff again after that. I mean, I know 2010 we played a reunion show for our buddy who was battling with cancer. But I think we may have done one reunion show before that just for fun and just testing it out again, and it just never kind of took off again. So.
Yeah. Now, was there any songs that never got recorded that you guys had in the fold that never got released? I mean, is there some love lost songs?
Yeah, there was a couple that were in the writing process and had them recorded or just mixes or whatever. I can't tell you what they're called or anything, but hit up Frankie's early sometime. I sent him that stuff in a care package just 'cause,
Oh, you did it? Nice.
Yeah, I just randomly found some stuff and I was like, here, man. So
Frankie's the man.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Frankie's such a good guy. I talked to him a little while ago too. And speaking of Joshua Fit for Battle, I talked to Larry a while ago too.
Larry's the one who introduced me to like Charles Bronson and His Heroes Gone, and he took me to Stalag 13.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was to a His Heroes Gone show, and I was just blah,
Yeah.
Once again, first time like experiencing stuff like that was just incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's talking about touring with Page 99. In the earlier days, it seemed like you guys played with like a lot of screamo bands, like a lot of screamo bands. But in the later on days, you guys were playing with more metalcore style bands. Talking about the Page 99 era, kind of when you guys were playing with them, do you have any good stories that you could tell, like memorable stories of shows that were amazing back then, touring with those guys?
Oh man, yeah, we no, I'm not gonna be able to give specific shows. I don't know, man. It's a weird perspective from the drummer, because me, like, we would show up at a place and it was kind of like put my head down and go to business, and I never really paid attention to anything around me. But when I'd get to watch Page 99 play or something from an outside perspective, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't give like a specific show because my brain just sucks now. But and I get sorry, my daughter just farted. I don't know. Like, all the shows back then just become a big blur. I remember some show we played in Atlanta with Page 99 was really cool. Nothing stands out. I can't remember other bands that played and stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I was hoping you would have that info since you just have this crazy knowledge about weird one-offs.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many flyers of the bands you played with back then. Like you played with Reversal Man, Cobra Kai. I mean, just like the who's who of like the screamo bands back then. Can you remember any bands that kind of blew you away that you didn't know of until you played with them, and then you were like, wow, this band is crazy?
Yeah, man, Creation is Crucifixion. We played some festival somewhere. It might have been in Cleveland or something like that. Those guys were awesome. Reversal, man, that was somebody we were all looking forward to seeing and did. And that was incredible. Dystopia, that's probably one of the more memorable shows with Page 99. That was like the first time meeting Page 99, and playing that show was awesome because Dystopia was just incredible.
Yeah, Dystopia's so good.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I guess Poison the Well was pretty cool. I mean, we didn't really know. I didn't really know who they were before we saw them for the first time. I'm like, oh, come on, Molly. For the first time, it was like in Florida or something. So like meeting those guys was really cool. And after hearing them and stuff, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Now,
like I said, it's almost like a blur, you know, it's just like a big vacation or something, and you can remember little aspects of it, but at least for me, but.
Yeah. Now, did anybody do like a diary of like the shows you guys played or anything like that? Like your brother or any of the other guys
I don't
that
think
just
so.
documented?
I know Mike and Jason have really good memories about stuff that happened, but I know Mike wasn't a part of some of the other stuff that we did later, like with Code 7 and all that. But I know Mike's helped me remember a lot of stuff, but usually the stuff I remember is like the stupid antics, like the pranks and, you know, just stuff that we did together. Like that stuff to me is what I remember more. Like, shit. I remember being somewhere with Page 99, and when I say that, like any time we'd be like, hey, you know, if anybody can put us up tonight, you know, because we can't afford a hotel or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
These people had no idea it'd be like 20 of us showing up to their house to pile in and sleep on their floor, you know. So it was just like, but I think it was Mike or somebody. I don't know. I kept waking up in the mornings, and I'd have like morning boners, and Mike would always like put a shoe on me, and I wake up and they're all laughing and pointing. I don't know. It's more funny to me than it is to you, but I mean, you know, whatever.
Those guys are so good. Dude, have you heard Terminal Bliss, their new band that they're in?
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Huh?
I was talking to Mike at one point, and he was showing me that stuff, and that's pretty awesome, man. It's cool that everybody's still kind of expressing themselves even at like 40 years old or whatever. So
yeah. It seems like that's happening a lot. I mean, a lot of the guests that I have on here are 40 years old and older and are still pumping out heavy music and stuff like that. And some are doing regular, you know, mellower music, which is awesome too. But it's just surprising that people our age are still doing heavy music, and it still sounds amazing.
I'm sorry, Hal.
That's all right. I totally.
Hold on, Dad. Do these? Okay. All better? Okay, gotta be quiet. Okay. All right, man. Sorry.
That's all right.
It's extremely hard to hear on this phone, so when anything's happening, I just can't hear a word. So.
Yeah. No apologies needed. I totally understand. Believe me.
Yeah, isn't that why you're sitting in a car right now? That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my daughter's had 2 people sleeping over. It would have been pure chaos at my house right now, screaming and yelling. My dogs would be barking. It would be, I don't know, it would be chaos.
See, if I went out to my car, then I'd have my daughter banging on the window the whole time I was in there to let her in. So I'm just screwed either way. So.
Yeah. So when you left Love Lost, what did you get into another band right away, or did you kind of take some time off and just, you know, take a breath
I did
from
actually.
the music?
Me and the singer Mike Schmitz, we did a couple projects. There was something called Bleed to Live, and then it transformed into With Sound and Fury. These were more kind of, I don't know, it had blast beat stuff, but it was more metalcore. Nothing ever really happened with it. Like they were all short-lived bands. There's some With Sound and Fury stuff out there, but I don't know even how to tell you where. It was all MySpace, and then MySpace kind of took a crap, and this stuff disappeared. So, so she's just laying on my lap. It's okay. So yeah, I did that stuff with Mike, and then are you wanting to go all the way from like then till now, or like?
Yeah, like what was the progression of your music after Love Lost? Like.
Okay, so those bands happened, and then once again they were short-lived. Crap, man, I'm sorry. I'm trying to just think on the spot here. Sound and Fury. I don't know why I'm having such a brain fart now. I jumped into a band in 2016 called Alan Smithy. That stuff was awesome. It was more like, I don't know, just chaotic, like Dillinger escape playing kind of stuff. Just like mathy, like you have to really think as a drummer really hard and do weird time signature stuff. So that was definitely cool, and that helped me with my drumming a lot. So during that time, I also started playing in a band called At War Within, once again with Mike from Love Lost and his brother and a guy named John Morton, who we met. Um, that was cool. That was more metalcore in general. There's music out there for that too, if you ever want to check that out. And then that kind of advanced into what I'm doing now, which is A Living Hell. I took a break from that stuff for a while, met my now wife, and had her. And once I could start doing a band again, I did, and that's where I am now, which is A Living Hell. It's just all punk rock stuff. It's just stuff I knew this was probably going to be my last band, and kind of wanted to go back to where I began with punk rock stuff. So that's why I'm doing this again.
And when did that band start? What year was that you started?
That started, well, for me at least, it started right in the COVID era, I guess.
Yeah.
Or right before the COVID era stuff. I met them on, I just did a Craigslist search and found people looking for a drummer, and listened to their music and liked it a lot. So it's just something different, man. You play the same kind of stuff for so long, you just want to do something different. But, I don't know. It's still challenging enough to me, but it's really fun. So that's why I'm doing this now.
Yeah. Now you guys have shows set up. I know you played last night. Do you have other shows set up? And also, how are you coming to grips with kind of like the obstacles of COVID still? You know what I mean? Because some venues still don't have shows. Some make you have vaccination cards and masks still. Like, how are you getting through this?
Yeah, there's still a lot of requirements as far as showing your vax cards or wearing a mask, but there's a lot of places around here that aren't now. It's kind of weird. Like, I've always been pretty, worried about stuff, or cautious about stuff. I've always been a truck driver though, so I've been, regardless, I'm having like a local truck driver, so I'm like having to go to businesses regardless. So, I was just always wearing a mask everywhere I'd go for that.
Yeah.
But not, I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I keep like venturing off.
No, that's all right. No.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of at a 50-50. There's smaller venues that still take precautions really seriously, and there's other venues that are opening back up a little bit more, being more. I mean, there's no rules in place. So if anybody has to mask or do any of that stuff, it's just because they want to. So
yeah,
which is cool. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that either. I mean, it's
yeah.
There's no harm in being extra careful. So
yeah, exactly. Now, do you have shows coming up? Like, do you have a set of shows coming up?
Yeah, we have a show next week, and we competed in this local competition called Road to Point Fest, which is like our local alternative radio station or whatever. They have this Battle of the Bands competition essentially, and somehow we advanced through all the rounds. And Molly, come on, babe. I know, but I'm talking. So next weekend, May 7th, we're playing in the grand finals because we made it up to that point. We're already going to this big festival, but this determines what stage we play on at this big festival.
Yeah.
And it's called Point Fest, and it's with like Jelly Roll and Hailstorm and Highly Suspect and all these crazy bands that it's whatever. But
yeah.
For us, I think it's just cool because we get to play it in the amphitheater. It's like a big outdoor, like huge venue. So it's like, that's. I mean, if you're from around here, I mean, for me at least, I think that's like the ultimate goal is to play at a place like that, to where like all these huge bands have played. So I mean,
yeah.
So we're doing that, and then past that, we're playing with Christian Death the following Tuesday. At a local venue called Red Flag. So that's pretty much all we got going now. We have some new music in the works. Just recorded a couple new singles. So we haven't done any full length albums or EPs or anything yet, just because it's all self-funded and it's really expensive.
Yeah. So. yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, what city is that big festival going to be in?
It's in a city called Maryland Heights, which is basically just it's like a suburb of St. Louis City. So
yeah. Nice. Going back to Love Lost, did you keep all your things that you guys put out, like the 7 inches and the CDs, and did you save shirts? Like, I always ask if people saved all the stuff that they had put out musically.
I did save a lot of that stuff for a long time, but then after it hits a certain point, it's like I don't really need that sentimental value to the stuff. So I've sent everything I've had off to people that I knew or whatever that wanted it. So
Yeah.
I don't, Frankie got my last shirt and last whatever I could find. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of which, Frankie, if you're watching, man, you didn't tell me if you used that fart spray yet. You need to tell me. It's a big thing to me, fart spray.
It's a good trick. I use it at work sometimes. It's a good trick, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, the Love Lost shirt. It's funny when you.
Daddy, I'm trying to tell you something.
Hold on, man. I'm sorry. I know, babe. I know. All right, we're doing this now. We're doing this. We're going mobile. Sorry. I gotta go in here. All right. Sorry, man. I just couldn't hear one word.
No, I totally understand. Yeah, I was talking about Love Lost shirts. You can still buy Love Lost shirts on Etsy. Did you know that?
I did not, but are they like $500 or some crazy stuff?
No, they're actually pretty cheap. It's weird because I was trying to find like somebody that had an old tour shirt, and the ones that I saw had holes all in them, and then all of a sudden I saw a picture and it looked brand new, and then I clicked on it and it was like someone on Etsy was selling Love Lost shirts for like, I don't know what it was, $18 or something like that.
So what happens with Etsy? Is that like people making stuff or like?
Yeah, it must be. I think it's like bootleg screamo shirts on the cheap,
Man, I'll tell you what. If I could find a Love Lost shirt that had like yarn stitching letters or something, I'd buy it.
So, do you still find yourself listening to heavy music like back in like that type of music? The screamo, emo, violence, whatever you want to call it. Do you still listen to that newer bands nowadays?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to understand the question. So do I listen to newer bands that are like that?
Yeah,
That
or do you listen to the old stuff too? Like now
I listen to more older stuff. Like I still listen to Turmoil all the time and Snapcase, Progression Through Unlearning. Like that's still one of my favorite albums, Refused. Yeah, so I still listen to mainly older music, but there is some newer stuff like Capra, that band I'm seeing everywhere now. They're awesome, man. Who else was I just listening to? Damn it, man. I'm sorry. My brain's just farting out. I'm a terrible, terrible dude to fucking have a chat with. Yeah, I don't know. Misery Signals and End, both of those bands, since they went on their big tour, or tried to go on their tour through COVID and got canceled at most places. I never heard of End before that point, but started checking them out, and that band's probably one of my favorites at this point in the heavy genre.
Yeah.
And I think that singer was from Counterparts or something, which was also a really cool band to me.
Yeah. Do you listen to the band Vane FM?
No, I've never heard of them.
Oh no, they're from up around Boston area. They're like really heavy. They kind of like have you heard Jesus Piece? That band?
Yeah.
They're kind of in that same vein, like heavy, little tiny bit chaotic, but really really heavy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll send you a link after we're done to that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. I think I spend most of my time listening to like oldies music in general, or James Brown and stuff. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. If I listen to heavy music, I'm on a drive or something somewhere. But generally, I'm just, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I love playing fast and crazy and whatever, but I usually don't listen to that stuff much anymore. I never really did, I guess, as a general.
Yeah. I find myself like yesterday I was listening to Hall and Oates. So
I know, right? You start to appreciate what these musicians were doing back then, like in a different aspect, because they're all just super talented dudes,
Yeah. I know it's the weird things that I listen to, but I was hooked on that yesterday for some weird reason. Were you a fan of the kind of like the emo explosion that happened in the Midwest back then too?
Yeah, it was, man. Like the Get Up Kids, they were awesome. They were from Kansas City, which is only like 3.5 hours from us in St. Louis, so that was always really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna get put on the spot trying to remember all these
Well,
bands I used to listen to. But
yeah, Casket Lottery was from around that area too.
yeah, did they share members with the Get Up Kids or no? I can't remember how that all worked out.
Nathan played in Coalesce for a while.
Oh, okay, that's what the connection was.
Yeah,
which was another awesome band, man. Coalesce was crazy.
Yeah, they were definitely like wild to see live. I got to see him a few times live up here, and I was blown away by the performance.
Yep, definitely awesome. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like I said, man, my memory's so crap now. Like it's so hard to remember like really good bands that I used to love, but just when I don't continue to follow them, then my mind just forgets about them. So
yeah,
I was going to ask you though. I think they were from DC, but talking back in the '90s, do you remember a band called Ashes?
I do remember that band. Yes.
That band to me, for some reason, because that band Copper was doing stuff around the same time, but there was just a female-fronted band that was, to me, pretty heavy back then. Man, I loved that band. But that was when I brought up Clevenger. Like, that's what, the connection. They weren't connected, but, I mean, similar genres or whatever. That's just somehow one of my favorites. Like, I just love female-fronted bands for some reason. Like, just the harmonies, I guess, or whatever, the melodies that carry through. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Nowadays, there's been a lot of bands that are female fronted that have been popping up lately too. In the screamo vein of things that have been so amazing too.
Yeah, that Capper band's one of them, man. They're awesome. I don't know much about them, but just hearing some of their stuff is pretty cool, and they're really doing it up. It's kind of an old sound of music that's just getting really crazy now, and looks like they're doing good things. So good for them.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you about the sample of Gummo.
Oh yeah, that's just a movie we all loved. Probably still do, but yeah, that was like half of our first tour was just like reciting lines to Gummo back and forth and like becoming those characters while we were out on the road and stuff.
Yeah. Whose idea was it to put it on the album?
I don't know, most likely Scott's or Mike's, I'm guessing.
Yeah. That movie's either like I love that movie, but you either love it or you hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I'm a lover of that movie. It's a shame though because if you look that movie up, there's not one streaming site that puts it out that you can watch it on. You know what I mean? Like,
oh really?
You can't watch it on Hulu. You can't watch it on Netflix. You can't watch it on Amazon Prime. You can't. None of them have it, and you really have to search for that movie, which is a shame.
Yeah, man, it's a classic. If you're into weird stuff, it's just yeah. And then what's some of the other ones that Harmony Korine was doing? Was it like something Donkey Boy?
Oh yeah. Did you see one of the newer movies he did, The Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey? Did you see that?
No. I think I need to now though. Jeez.
Yeah, very strange, but not as strange as Gummo. It's kind of didn't he do Spring Breakers too with what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name right now. But he did like a movie about a kind of like a pimp that lived in Miami that got these young girls to like hang out with them and do drugs. Have you heard of that movie, Spring Breakers?
Man, I haven't, but this is all stuff I'm gonna note down and check out after we get off of here because this sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'll send you the links to both of those movies. I know that he's still doing stuff, so
I don't know. I feel like once we had my daughter, like my brain shut off from everything except work and home life. Like I just don't do anything. So I need to really venture out and check some of this stuff out now.
Yeah. I'm gonna flood your message with a bunch of stuff after we get off. So
Yeah, please do, man.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have your daughter and your family and stuff like that. So usually at the end of these talks, I usually do a rapid fire with everybody. So you ready for some rapid fire?
I sure hope I can try.
My first question always is all-time favorite New England punk hardcore band from up in New England area.
Doesn't matter big or small?
Doesn't matter big or small.
All right, Network 34.
Number 2, what was your first punk hardcore show you attended? Like a real hardcore show? Was it the Boy Sets Fire? Was that the real?
Yep, that would have been the first one. I was like 13, so.
Do you remember any of the other bands that played with Boy Sets Fire at that time?
Oh man, I think it was a local show. There was a band called Clubber Lang, I believe, and a band called. Do you?
I remember Clubber Lang. Yeah.
I don't know if Walleye played that show. It was possible Walleye played that show, and I think it was a band from PA that was like they were all buddies. It was called it was named after a lumberyard. I'm trying to remember the name of that band. Something 84. I don't know. Yeah. There's a punk rock band. It was cool.
Nice. My next question: what was your all-time favorite show that you played? Like, most memorable one for you that really sticks in your mind?
We played some show in Canada on that Code 7. I think it was Code 7 or maybe it was Page 99. I can't remember. It was a big show in Canada that I think Today Is the Day was the headliner of, though. And just showing up to this show, being in a foreign land in a sense, and all these people were like screaming words back to us when we played, and we were just mind blown. Like, how do these people know? Like, we don't even know what the words are to these songs. Like, it was incredible because there was like, I don't know, there's probably like a couple thousand people there or something. Like, it was a huge show. So that was awesome. If my memory serves me right, that's what it all. I'm sure somebody's gonna come on and correct me and be like, "No, man, that was like Michigan, and it was with somebody else." Like, I don't know. That's usually what happens to me. So sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Now, when you played in New Hampshire that time, was that the only time you played up in New Hampshire?
Yeah, that was the only time we ventured that far up, because I think on that tour we did like Maine and stuff like that. Was that with Code 7 when we came up there?
When you guys played Nashville, it was just with Hope's Fall and As I Lay Dying played that show too.
Okay, well, if Hope's Fall played that, then that must have been the tour where we ended up doing Canada, because I know we ventured all the way up through like Augusta, Maine and stuff, and then when we went into Canada, yeah, man, I don't know how the timelines worked, but yeah. So to answer your question, that was the first time we went like that northeast, and it's so pretty up there. It's awesome. I don't think I'd like handling the cold all the time, but man, I would love to venture up there a lot to hang out.
Yeah, the winters are brutal up around here, but I've been trying to get my wife to move down where it's warm, where I don't have to deal with winter anymore. Because I turned 50 this year, so it's like I'm so sick of shoveling and snow blowing and roof breaking and all that shit. So. Oh
man, I can imagine. St. Louis isn't any better. I mean, it'll be like 60 degrees one day in the wintertime, and then the next day it'll snow like, a foot and a half, and you're pissed because you got to go shovel. So you shovel all this up, and then the next day it turns back to like 50 degrees, and it would have just melted anyway. So you're like, come on, man, like.
Yeah. You guys get that Arctic dip though in the middle of the country where it gets like really, really like that Arctic blast from Canada that sits in the pocket. I mean, I know you're not that close to Minnesota, but Minnesota gets nailed every year with like 0 degrees for weeks on end.
Yeah, we miss most of that. Like Chicago it's weird. I mean, Chicago's only 4 hours away, but the way the weather works, like we miss most of that. It'll get cold here, but it doesn't get like Chicago nasty here at all. So.
Yeah. That's good. I'll keep going. My next question, what was your all-time favorite hardcore punk show you attended that you didn't play, that you went out to see a band and was, one of your favorite shows of all time that you saw?
Snapcase with Refused at the High Point Theater in St. Louis. That was awesome. That was when Refused first started touring and coming around. So I can't remember that long first album they had, like long titled first album they had, but it was incredible. Yeah. I still listen to that all the time. I just never, it was before The Shape of Punk to Come or whatever. I don't even like that album, but the one before that was awesome. The Victory. Yeah. So yeah, that show was incredible. That or Converge. First time seeing Converge was pretty crazy too.
Now, you played with Converge, though, didn't you, with Love Lost? Did Love Lost play with Converge?
Yeah, we did play. I don't know if we directly... Well, yeah, actually, I think we did play with them in St. Louis here. So, yeah, never mind. You told me bands that we haven't played with. So, yeah, Snapcase and Refused.
Nice. How many times have you seen Snapcase, like, live?
Maybe 3 times in general, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw him once up on the East Coast and then, well, no, twice. So once on the East Coast and then once here in my hometown. So
yeah, so good.
Yeah.
I'm a huge movie guy, so I always ask this too. What was the last movie you watched?
Oh God, man, I don't even remember, to be honest. I think I don't know, like I watch like crime documentaries on Netflix and Amazon. I can't even remember what movie I watched last though. Like that's all I've been doing for years.
Yeah,
so.
Sometimes I know with like kids and stuff like that, a lot of people say, you know, a kid's movie is like the last movie they've seen or something like that.
Never taken her to a theater. Well, yeah, I should say that it's probably some Disney thing, like probably Frozen for the 15th time. Probably Frozen. Yeah, that's probably the last movie I've watched.
I'm also like a big hip hop guy too, especially 90s hip hop, boom bap style. If you've been listening to hip hop at all, what have you been listening
to? Randomly, I'll still pick up the Nas Illmatic album and listen to it. Man, I just found this dude on just through like an Instagram post that's awesome. I see that you like him, but I can't like cancel our video to look up his name again. It's like Coast something. I don't know, East Coast hip hop stuff, but
yeah,
it sounds like it. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that because I can't remember his name. But no, I mean I don't listen to a whole lot of hip hop. But if I do, it's generally like East Coast flavored stuff. Like I like that same style you're talking more than anything else. It's just more organic, I think.
Yeah. Now, were you a big hip hop head when you were younger? Did you kind of like did Yo MTV Raps like catch your brain back then, and were you into that at all?
Not really. I mean, I've always liked it, but not enough to follow it thoroughly, you know. So yeah, I can't honestly say. I mean, I enjoy it, but there's not like one particular artist I can pull out and say like this is a guy I've been following for years. Like I don't know. Obviously, you know, back in the day, we all used to skateboard and stuff. We'd all listen to like Wu-Tang Clan or whatever, but nobody like cool as far as like underground stuff I could name off to you.
Yeah. So. Speaking of skateboarding, when you were skateboarding, did that kind of bridge the gap too between like punk and hardcore? Were you hanging out with skaters that listened to that stuff?
When I was skateboarding, it was mainly just punk rock stuff. That's, I mean, just the whole Fat Records era of skate punk stuff, you know, like. There was I mean, well, I don't know. I guess some early hardcore stuff like Snapcase and whatever, but I mean, screamo and stuff wasn't really a part of my life or anyone else's that I was around at that point. So.
My next question: favorite song to play live from Love Lost? What was your favorite song to play live?
I think the song's called "It Never Happened." I think it's the one that started off with a cool drum fills, like whatever. That song was always fun to me just because I got to play cool stuff on the drums. So that Means No End was always a cool song because it just came out swinging fast and chaotic. So yeah, generally songs that I can play faster or more of my favorites, even to this day. Like I play as fast as I can generally. So
Now would another reunion ever be in the fold for Love Lost?
No, that's a done deal, man.
Done deal?
Yep. I mean, we all still talk, but I mean, it's just Scott has 2 awesome bands going on now. Like The Lion's Daughter and Bastard are both incredibly awesome bands. He's way far past the Love Lost stuff. Grady doesn't play anymore. He's touring with Grizz, EDM guy, you know, and like he does sound for him. Jason doesn't play anymore. Well, I think he does actually. He plays with his buddy. They just do covers and stuff like that. But I mean, my brother, we don't really talk much anymore. He doesn't play anymore. So yeah, I mean, it's there's no 100% chance of no hope, I should say.
Yeah. I had to ask, you know, because somewhere I read, I don't know if it was like on Wikipedia or something, or somewhere like that said like Love Lost was known for their violent shows. Like, what the hell are they talking about with violent shows?
That's because Mike and my brother together as singers would just go absolutely apeshit, and just my brother was really good about, you know, my brother's a pretty small dude, so like he would just get up in people's faces and like, you know, get people going in the crowd. But Mike is just wild, man. I mean, Mike would be the guy that would throw a chair across the room just because he thinks it's funny. So like, I think a lot of that, you know, it's just getting people amped up. And I mean, yeah, none of us are violent people at all. So I don't know why that became a thing, but I think it's just because of them two as singers going chaotic and just, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, usually Grady would get hit or something by one of those guys, and then Grady would like literally punch them back in the middle of the show and stuff, and it would just create some chaos. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it was because the singers would get, you know, involved in the crowd, and it became pretty chaotic. I mean, that's my opinion. Once again, I was just the dumb drummer that sat there with my head down, didn't pay attention to anything except for the drums. So. I am the worst guy to interview for this band.
No, stop, will you? Before we go, just a Living Hell. What do you guys? I know you have shows coming up. You're recording. Do you know when that recording is coming out so people can kind of check it out?
Honestly, I do not. I don't think we even have plans for it yet. It's more of a money thing. Since we're funding it ourselves, it's kind of like, well, you know, when we can afford to do it, we will, and then we'll make a big promo about it. But I mean, no, I mean, you can find stuff online that we've done. We have like at least 4 songs out there you can check out that are on every streaming platform, or our website, alivinghellstl.com has all the stuff on it. Yeah. But yeah, for future new stuff, it should be coming out, I would say, within the next few months. But we don't have anything set for it yet, so.
Yeah, and you're saying this is pretty much probably your last band that you're gonna do. You have no fever to get back into like the heavy stuff yet at all?
Yeah, I mean, if the right opportunity came, but I mean, I have arthritis in my hands, and one of my ankles has arthritis, so I know it's probably just my time, so I'm just having fun with this while I can, and it's probably a done deal. So.
Yeah. Well,
getting stuck, man.
Yeah, I know. I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis like a year ago. I didn't know what the hell was wrong with all my joints, and then, you know, through all these tests and stuff like that, it come to find out that I got rheumatoid. So I was like, you know, dealing with that for the last year has been rough. So I can totally understand arthritis to an extreme now. Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you do?
But on a lighter note, thank you for taking time out to do this. I really appreciate it. I mean, Love Lost is very special to me. It always has been special to me, and it's just an honor to talk to you about the old days and what was going on and what you have going on now, too. So thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity. It's nice to see you face-to-face instead of just through messaging, so.
Yeah, definitely. That's what, I mean, that's another thing why I like to do this, too, is a podcast is one thing, but doing these lives where you get to see people face to face and kind of meet them through this is just, I feel just better. You know,
it's more personable for sure.
Yeah, and then people get to see like, you know, our facial expressions and you know, kind of know who we are as people.
Yeah, and then you put my 17-year-old picture as the headliner on there, and then definitely hit him with a catfish. Like, who's this fucking fat guy with a beard? That's gross.
Surprise. But yeah, sorry
No,
gonna
I'm
do
just teasing you, man. I was giving you shit.
I was gonna put the picture of the Living Hell picture that you had, but you know, I wanted to be nostalgic. So.
Oh, that's all good, man. I get it.
But thank you so much, and let's stay in touch. I'm gonna send you a bunch of DMs about that harmony stuff, and yeah, let's just stay in touch, man.
Yeah, please do.
And have a great day, and you know, get some rest too.
Yeah, nah, that'll never happen.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Hal, take care, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.